have captured the alleged leader of the Juarez drug cartel.
At this time, we're transitioning from screening to treatment. We now have 18 babies who are being treated with medication.
As the health department announces the number of babies exposed to tuberculosis at Providence rises, ABC-7 learns only a small fraction are being treated.
We're tracking a couple cold fronts making its way through here for the weekend into early next week, so get ready for temperatures to cool down. How much? We'll talk more about it coming up in your full forecast.
I'm Josie Ortegon in Las Cruces. According to an online report, 1 in 5 NMSU students are not paying back their student loans. Why and what's being done about it coming up.
ABC-7 at 9 starts now.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley at Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC-7 at 9 on the El Paso Las Cruces CW.
He's known as El Viceroy. New video just into our newsroom tonight of Vicente Carrillo Fuentes being taken to a police helicopter. Fuentes is the suspected leader of the Juarez drug cartel, one of Mexico's most wanted criminals now behind bars. Good evening and thank you for joining us on air and online at KVIA.com. I'm Stephanie Valle. Sources say Fuentes was taken into custody in Torreon, a city in the northern Mexican state of Coahuila. Officials are being very tight-lipped about the arrest. No one has openly said how they found Carrillo Fuentes or how his capture unfolded. A new image of the Juarez drug cartel leader. This picture of Vicente Carrillo Fuentes was circulated by a Mexican journalist shortly after his arrest. A much different image from the one authorities have been showing us for decades, as long as he's been wanted in Mexico and the U.S.
Vicente Carrillo Fuentes has been indicted by a federal grand jury for the deaths of 10 individuals in order to ensure their silence about his organization.
Carrillo Fuentes also faces a 46-count indictment here in Texas. He's charged with drug trafficking, money laundering, and murder. There was a $5 million reward on his head from U.S. authorities alone.
A highly dangerous, high-risk individual that is a discredit to our community.
The cartel leader was tied to mass graves Juarez police uncovered in 1999. They were found at 3 ranches near Juarez. According to the ABC-7 archive, a U.S. informant told authorities as many as 100 bodies might be found at the sites. Carrillo Fuentes was charged with the murders of 9 people found in the graves. Another mass grave uncovered in 2004 in Juarez, this one in the backyard of a home. 11 bodies were unearthed there. The home and the mass grave were also tied to Carrillo Fuentes and the Juarez drug cartel.
If Vicente has any evidence on anything about anybody, perhaps cooperating or providing information, they're found on a bridge dead or in a hole on a ranch.
Our archives show Mexican authorities said they had arrested Carrillo Fuentes twice, once in 2005 and again in 2013, but they recanted both times. An interesting note, the news organization Fusion, the product of ABC News and Univision, posted a report online yesterday about the head of the Sinaloa cartel. The report addressed rumors that Joaquin El Chapo Guzman is snitching on his rivals in exchange for goodies in prison, everything from a jacket to a television. And in the words of the former Mexican prosecutor, the capos are falling. The arrest of Vicente Carrillo Fuentes comes a week after another high-profile arrest. October 1st, Mexico announced the capture of Hector Beltran Leiva, the alleged leader of the Beltran Leiva cartel. He assumed leadership of that criminal organization in 2009 after Mexican Marines gunned down his brother. And who can forget the arrest of the most wanted drug lord in the world this past February? Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the leader of the Sinaloa cartel, was arrested in the Pacific Beach resort of Mazatlan. In recent years, Mexican authorities have also dealt a huge blow to one of the most brutal drug cartels in that country, Los Zetas, in October of 2012. Mexican Marines killed Heriberto Lascano, the cartel's founder. Last year, authorities captured Miguel Ángel Trevino Morales. He had taken over the cartel after Lascano was killed. And now to some breaking news. Texas Attorney General Greg Abbott is seeking an emergency stay after a federal judge blocked Texas from enforcing new voter ID requirements. The ruling was made by U.S. District Judge Nelva Gonzalez Ramos of Corpus Christi. She was appointed by President Obama. Now, the timing could spare an estimated 13.6 million registered Texas voters from needing one of 7 kinds of photo IDs to cast a ballot. Republican leaders in Texas say the law is needed to prevent voter fraud. Stormtrack weather now. We have a live look outside courtesy of the ABC-7 mountain cam. You'll find it here only on ABC-7. Doppler Dave is in the weather lab with your first forecast. Doppler, hopefully the weekend is looking great.
Yeah, you know, so far, yeah, Saturday and Sunday is looking pretty nice. Now, we do have yet a slight chance of maybe a little bit of some light rain yet tonight into perhaps very early tomorrow morning into the overnight hours. But again, the rain chance is only going to be at about 10%. Some clouds hanging around tomorrow, but the weekend, as we were just talking about, looks pretty good across town. There is a look at Doppler radar, and you can see how we're tracking some showers and thunderstorms, mainly to the north of us, but look out to the east of El Paso. A little bit of activity around maybe Sierra Blanca, Del City, although very light at this point. But we'll take a closer look at Doppler radar, talk about your upcoming weekend, peek into next week. It's all coming up.
Okay, looking forward to it, Dave. Thank you. New information on the tuberculosis exposure at Providence Hospital. City health officials confirmed 2 more positive tests for latent TB. That's 8 total, 3 of which aren't thought to be false positives either. The new number of potentially exposed babies has been revised upwards and is now 860, 7 more than the previous number. But officials said no babies have active TB. And at this point, a very small number of babies is getting treated at their homes.
At this time, we're transitioning from screening to treatment. We now have 18 babies who are being treated with the medication necessary to prevent tuberculosis. So what that means is we have workers going to their home twice a week, check on the baby, make sure the baby's doing fine, deliver the medication, and make sure that the medication is being properly given to the infant. We want to ensure quality care.
By the way, Providence Hospital was notified by the state of Texas this week that it no longer poses an immediate jeopardy to patient health and safety, but it's still out of compliance with 3 Medicare standards, including infection control. Providence has until December to be fully compliant with no further extensions, or it will lose Medicare funding. Good news tonight. The Dallas County Sheriff's deputy who exhibited symptoms of Ebola has tested negative for the disease. Michael Monning was released from the hospital a day after he went to a health clinic complaining of stomach pains. He was among a group of deputies who entered the apartment where an Ebola patient from Liberia, Thomas Eric Duncan, was staying. Duncan died yesterday. An alarming 1 out of every 5 NMSU students fails to repay student loans. According to data released by the Department of Education, NMSU has a default rate of 19.9. According to an online report, that puts NMSU at the top of the list for large public schools with the highest default rates. ABC-7's Josie Ortegon has a story you'll see only on ABC-7.
NMSU students have a difficult time paying off these student loans. Although students we spoke with agree it is hard to pay them off, they say it's hard to believe that the rate is so high.
It's hard to pay them.
I mean, I guess it's not that surprising.
It's pretty sad.
Alarming, to say the least, when NMSU students hear 1 in 5 of their very own fail to repay loans. According to the Department of Education, NMSU's default rate is at 19.9%. That number is the result of a 3-year period where students went into default in 2011.
In the end, what a student chooses to do with the money is their decision.
Montoya cites a number of different reasons for such a high rate. She says one is that the rate includes all of NMSU's community colleges. Another, that 49% of students are low income, which makes them more vulnerable to default. And the least surprising reason is that the rate includes a large percentage of freshmen who simply drop out and don't repay their loans. As a result, NMSU has cracked down on the availability of loans. NMSU now withholds first-time borrower loans for 30 days. It's a practice in place similar to sanctions by the Department of Education. Montoya expects that practice, as well as financial counseling and workshops, will lead to a lower rate next year.
Efforts that we're putting in now, which have been a lot more measured, we will see those results in the next few years. Next year being the first year.
I'm told once a university reaches a rate of 30 to 35%, they do face sanctions and possible penalties. In Las Cruces with our New Mexico Mobile Newsroom, Josie Ortegon, ABC-7.
Professional soccer in El Paso, it could soon be a reality.
This is a very competitive process. There are numerous cities that are very interested in attracting MLS to their communities.
Love soccer? Well, we'll tell you how you can show your support for the group trying to bring a soccer team to the borderland.
Historically in El Paso, it's 3 inches of rain over 24 hours.
We've heard a lot about 100-year storms. Recently, are these storms a lot more common, though, than we thought? And in Stormtrack Weather, Dave.
Yeah, I'm still tracking some showers, even a few isolated thunderstorms out there on Doppler radar. Have a look in your forecast. It's coming up.
This is ABC 7 at 9, where news comes first.